One day, aliens will find Instagram, and they'll have no idea why we take pictures of food, cry over cats, or use puppy filters while the world falls apart. But maybe, just maybe, they won't destroy us. Maybe they'll stay to understand us. This is the story of 3 alien researchers sent to erase humanity, but instead they chose to follow us. Because they didn't find weapons, they found a hashtag. Welcome to #Humanity, a sci-fi series where emotion is the real survival instinct. In the silence of deep space, the Velarak research vessel drifted like a silver needle through black silk. There were no cries here, no songs, no traffic, only the cold whisper of stars burning billions of years away. Commander Zarn stood still at the observation bay. Behind him, holographic projections pulsed with shifting data, graphs, images, unreadable strings of human text. It was Clip, the youngest of the exploration trio, who finally broke the silence. "Sir," he said, pointing at a projection, "it's a cat wearing sunglasses, and it appears to be skateboarding." Zarn didn't blink. "That is the primary signal we're receiving from Earth?" Repeated across tens of thousands of channels, V chimed in, adjusting her data lens, along with images of food, dancing, human faces, always accompanied by encoded symbols, hashtags. Hashtags, Zarn repeated with suspicion. "Are these command codes? Psychological weapons?" Clip shrugged. "I don't know, sir, but this one has 1.8 million likes." Zarn narrowed his eyes. "Prepare the descent module. If this is propaganda, we'll dismantle it at the source." The Earth they landed on was a world half forgotten, half remembered. Cities stood hollow, windows broken, ivy crawling across billboards showing frozen images of smiling influencers. Screens still flickered in bus stops and malls. Some were blue, some black, some blinking messages like "you're offline" and "signal lost." Clip wrinkled his nose. "This place smells like sugar and dust. Cinnamon and decay," V murmured, already scanning the area. "I've linked into a dormant satellite. Data traces lead to a platform called Instagram." Zarn gave the order. "Extract everything." For the next 2 days, the trio didn't sleep. Thousands of images surged across their screens. Avocado toast, crying teenagers, dogs in pajamas, morning selfies, broken hearts laid bare in pixelated captions. The Velarak had studied extinct civilizations before, but never one that had broadcasted their joy and pain this deliberately. Clip was the first to cave. He created a profile, @AlienFromYourCrush. He posted a photo of himself in a bunny ear filter, winking at the camera. Caption? V asked. Clip grinned. "Landed on a dying world, still cute though. Alien life Monday mood." It received 4,000 likes in an hour. Zarn was appalled. "You've compromised our mission." Clip shrugged. "They like me." Later that night, Zarn stared at an image frozen on the screen, a child holding a crayon drawing, beaming with pride. The caption read, "He drew this for me. I miss him every day." Something shifted in the commander's posture. "This isn't warfare," V said quietly, standing beside him. "It's grief, shared publicly, for strangers to see, maybe even to answer." Zarn said nothing. By day 4, even Zarn was posting. His first upload was a photo of a broken window pane with golden light spilling through. Caption, "What's broken still lets light in." He received 12 likes. He checked the notification screen 4 times in 1 minute. They found a human profile, @GwynTheEnd. Every day he posted a sketch, some rough, some beautiful, all simple. A flower, a child, an old man's face. Always with a short caption, "Still here, still trying." V traced his data. Terminal illness, no family left, still posting. "Why?" Zarn asked aloud. Clip's voice was softer than usual. "Maybe so someone sees him." On the 6th night, Zarn stood on a rooftop, looking up at a sky glowing with auroras. He turned his device toward it and snapped a photo. Then he wrote, "No one left to listen. Still speaking anyway. We are still here." He pressed post, and within moments, a tiny heart lit up on his screen. The air was thick with the scent of digital nostalgia. It had been 1 Earth week since the Velarak crew first discovered Instagram. In that time, something had changed. Zarn felt it. It wasn't in the data, not the likes or the tags or the comments. It was in the silence between conversations, in the way Clip laughed more often, in how V spent longer than necessary analyzing certain posts, especially the ones with dogs wearing sweaters and elderly humans dancing with headphones. Zarn didn't like it. He didn't like change. He couldn't explain. It began with a filter. Clip was the first to find it, Galaxy Sparkle Deluxe. It layered your face with cosmic glitter, expanded your eyes, sharpened your jawline, and added a subtle floating effect around your head, like you were a deity, or a pop star, or both. He showed up to briefing wearing it. "Remove that thing," Zarn barked. Clip pouted. "Why? It's expressive. It's deceptive. It's beautiful. It's not you." Clip crossed his arms. "What if I like it better than me?" There it was, the first real spark of rebellion. V, as always, remained the mediator. "They're called filters," she explained in her even tone, "used by humans to stylize, enhance, or mask their appearance. The psychological implications are complex. On one hand, it empowers identity fluidity. On the other, it can erode self-worth." Zarn's voice was clipped. "It erases truth." "Perhaps," V said, "but what if the truth is painful?" The following day, the argument exploded. Clip uploaded a filtered photo of himself, rainbow ears, shimmering eyes, and a halo of hearts. Caption: "Serving interstellar realness, Velorak glow up." The post received over 60,000 likes. Zarn was furious. "You're compromising our objectivity." "I'm participating," Clip snapped. "That's more than you've done. You hide behind analysis. But these humans, they share, even their insecurities." Zarn stood slowly. "You are not human." "Maybe not," Clip said, "but maybe that's why I need the filter." The room went quiet. Later that night, V found Zarn staring at an old photograph. No caption, no filter, just a human girl standing in a hospital hallway, holding her father's hand. Her smile was imperfect, her eyes tired. But the image, it felt real. "I don't understand," Zarn said softly. "They distort themselves endlessly, yet this honesty still exists, buried beneath the layers." V sat beside him. "Perhaps that's what filters are, layers of protection. But underneath, the core remains." Meanwhile, Clip had gone viral. His posts were trending on old Earth servers still connected to interstellar data chains. Aliens from other exploratory species had started following him. He received messages. "You're hilarious. Are all Velorak this fabulous? Please do a collab with Space Queen 97. He loved the attention, but part of him felt uneasy. It was during a solo walk, standing before a broken store mirror, that he stared at his reflection without the filter for the first time in days. He didn't dislike it, but he didn't recognize it either. The real break came during a live transmission. Zarn had reluctantly agreed to let Clip host a stream explaining alien culture to human followers. Purely for research, of course. But midstream, Clip went off script. "They say filters are lies," he told the camera. "But sometimes lies are what give us courage to be seen. Maybe I don't look like this, but maybe this is who I feel like." Zarn watched from the control room, fists clenched. "Clip is no longer a researcher," he said coldly. "He's become infected." "Infected with what?" V asked. Zarn turned. "Humanity." What followed was the most serious clash the crew had faced since leaving their homeworld. Zarn wanted Clip's access revoked, to isolate the anomaly before it spread. V refused. "You don't get it," she said. "This is the mission. To understand them, not from a distance, from within. And if it changes us, then we've finally learned something." That night, Zarn opened the Instagram app. He didn't filter the photo. It was of his hand, just resting on a table. Nothing special, no dramatic light, no caption. He posted it anyway. 3 minutes later, someone commented, "You okay?" And Zarn, for the first time, replied, "I don't know, but I think I'm trying." Stories. That was the next discovery. After the chaos of the filter war and the silent truce that followed, the crew found themselves diving deeper into Instagram's archives. And that was when V unearthed a strange function labeled simply as story. 24-hour visibility, she explained. A post that disappears after one cycle. Unarchived. Temporary. Clip gasped. You mean people post things they know will vanish? Zarn raised a brow. Intentional impermanence. Illogical. Inefficient. It's poetic, V said. Zarn folded his arms. It's pointless. So naturally, Clip made one. The story was a 6-second clip of him holding a canister of plasma coolant labeled "Do Not Drink," looking dramatically into the camera, then sipping from it like soda. The text overlay read, "Monday Mood." V stared. Zarn nearly choked. He gained 20,300 followers in 5 minutes. But something about the story function haunted Zarn. Why would a species so desperate to be seen create something that vanishes? He began tracking one human user named Lila Does Life. Her stories were inconsistent, erratic, messy. One moment she was laughing in her kitchen while dancing to 90s pop. The next, she was crying quietly, the camera angled away but the sniffles clear. Then, a plate of pancakes. Then, silence. No polished filters, no calculated captions, just glimpses, flickers. Zarn watched every one, every day. He never followed, never liked, just observed. V noticed. You're engaging emotionally, she said without judgment. I'm analyzing, Zarn replied. She nodded. Of course you are. One evening, they lost signal for 3 hours. Clip panicked. What if we missed a story? What if she was making lasagna? Zarn didn't speak. His posture was tense. When the connection returned, Leila had posted a black screen with the words, "I'm still here." Barely. No music, no stickers, no filter, just text. It faded after 24 hours, but not from their memory. The next day, Clip made another story. This time, it was just a silent view from the ship. Earth's horizon painted with a sunset of impossible color. He typed, "Some things are beautiful because they don't last." Zarn said nothing, but he watched it twice. That night, V presented a theory. Stories function as emotional venting, she said. They are safe, they disappear, no judgment, just release. Zarn countered, or their cries into a void without reply. V smiled faintly, not always. They began experimenting. Zarn posted a photo of his hand again, just a brief pulse. Caption, "Moment of stillness." It faded in a day. Clip did a dance, got 6,000 views. V uploaded a screenshot of an error message, "Cannot process emotion." They watched, posted, vanished. It became ritual. And then came the silent day. Lila didn't post. No food, no dance, no text, nothing. Zarn checked her profile 11 times. He told himself it was data consistency monitoring. On the second day of silence, he broke protocol. He created a story just for her. No face, no name, just a quote he'd seen once in an old Earth book. Even stars are born in the dark. He tagged no one, but left it visible. He didn't know if she saw it. But the next day, Lila posted again. Her breakfast, burned toast, caption, "Oops, but I'm still hungry." Clip cheered. V exhaled. Zarn allowed himself the smallest of smiles. Later that week, Zarn spoke aloud without prompting. They risk so much, to be honest. Even knowing no one may notice, they still share. They hope, V replied gently. The first time they saw it, Zarn thought it was a threat. A simple image, an old wall, cracked and weather-worn. Painted on it, a figure kneeling, arms outstretched, holding up a glowing heart. The caption underneath read, "Today I still smiled." Posted by Nguyen the End. Zarn squinted. A signal? V leaned in. Possibly symbolic code. The glow might represent a weapon. Or, Clip chuckled, or it's just art, Commander. Zarn's jaw clenched. No one uploads a glowing heart during planetary collapse without intention. We investigate. The account had hundreds of posts, each one a drawing, some rough, some detailed, some just lines, some bursting with color. One depicted a hospital window at sunrise. Caption, "I drew this while waiting for painkillers." Another, a stick figure with flowers for hands. Caption, "She never made it to spring, so I brought it to her." Every caption ended with the same tag. Still here, Zarn didn't know what disturbed him more, the honesty or the persistence. They tracked the location. An old, crumbling city on the western edge of the continent. Satellite records labeled it as uninhabited, but GPS pings said otherwise. Zarn insisted on going alone. I need to see if this man is a threat, he said. Clip looked unconvinced. A threat armed with crayons? V didn't speak, but her eyes followed Zarn as he left. The building was barely standing. Ivy covered most of the entrance. Inside, the air smelled of dust, ink, and something faintly sweet, perhaps paint. Zarn found him on the third floor. He was older than expected, mid-60s, frail, sitting by a cracked window with a blanket around his shoulders and an oxygen tank at his side. His hair was silver, his hands unsteady, but his eyes were sharp. "You came," the man said without looking up. "You knew?" "You weren't the first to watch," he said, "but you're the first to come." For a long moment, they just sat. No words, only the creak of wind through broken glass. Then Zarn asked, "Why do you post these drawings?" The man smiled faintly. "Because I can't run, can't fight, can't shout into a void, but I can leave something, even if it's just marks on a wall." "You're dying." The man nodded. "Been dying for a while." "Then why bother?" He looked out the window. "Because someone might need it, someday. Maybe not now, maybe not even human. But if one being, one soul sees it and it gives them pause or hope or even just a second of breath, wasn't that worth it?" Zarn didn't respond. The man continued, "You think I'm weak, but you're wrong. Hope isn't weakness, it's rebellion." Before Zarn could reply, the man reached into his coat and handed him a folded piece of paper. A drawing, Zarn as seen from a rooftop, staring up at the stars. Captions scribbled underneath in shaky handwriting. "I think he's trying." Zarn's throat tightened. He had no words. Back on the ship, Zarn didn't brief the others. He simply posted the drawing. No filter, no caption, just the image. It received 1 like, then 3, then 100. Then a comment from a human account long dormant. "I remember that wall. He used to sit there every afternoon." And then another. "I thought I was the only one still here." Zarn closed the screen, then whispered to himself, "You're not." Clip had never expected to become a curator, but by day 30 of their mission on Earth, that was exactly what he'd become. It began innocently enough. While researching Instagram's Explore function, he stumbled onto a video of a human tripping over a curb, falling face first into a bush, and immediately turning to apologize to the bush. He rewound it, watched it again, and again, then turned to V. "Did you see this?" V peered over, an act of projected empathy toward an inanimate object. Classic anthropomorphic displacement. Fascinating. "No," Clip said. "It's adorable." That night, he started a private archive. Folder name, Human Things. It grew fast. Videos of humans waving at dogs. People tearing up at commercials. A man building a tiny wheelchair for an injured squirrel. A woman singing to her plants before watering them. Children giving half their sandwich to pigeons. Elderly couples holding hands at sunset. He couldn't stop saving them. He wasn't sure why. 2 days later, he created a new account, @HumanThings. Profile description, just a space to remember how weird and wonderful they are. First post, a woman hugging a lamppost after receiving good news on the phone. Caption, she had no one else nearby, so she hugged the world. It got 200 likes in 1 hour, then 1,000. By the end of the day, it hit 20,000. Zarn was unimpressed. "This is irrelevant," he muttered. "These anomalies have no strategic value." Clip frowned. "They're not anomalies. They're them. This is who they are. They're irrational. They're real. They're inefficient. They're alive, Zarn." Zarn didn't respond. V, watching quietly from her station, finally spoke. "Commander, I've cross-referenced over 12,000 behavioral logs. There is a statistically significant pattern. Humans consistently assign emotional value to things others consider meaningless." "Define meaningless," Zarn challenged. "A plastic bag dancing in the wind, a song heard during childhood, a smell that reminds them of a dead parent." Clip added softly, "Or a stranger's laugh that sounds like someone they lost." Zarn didn't argue. But that night, he spent 2 hours scrolling through HumanThings. He didn't like or comment, but he lingered. Post number 37 went viral. A teenage boy stood in front of a convenience store holding a cardboard sign. Free hugs. Just got dumped. Not looking for love, just kindness. The caption read, "He gave out 47 hugs that day." Clip pinned it. Comments flooded in. People shared stories of their own heartbreaks, strangers who helped them, hugs they still remembered. One user wrote, "I don't know why I'm crying. I just needed this today." Clip sat in silence for a while after reading it, then whispered to himself, "Me too." Post number 62 showed a man stopping in the rain to shield a nest of baby birds with his coat. Post number 71 was a note left on a broken vending machine. "It took my money, but maybe it needs it more than I do." Post number 85 showed a child holding a piece of sidewalk chalk and drawing hearts around a dead worm. Caption, "A funeral. She said he deserved love too." Back on the ship, the mood had shifted. Even Zarn had changed. He still maintained a strict exterior, but he no longer scolded Clip for emotional indulgence. He had even posted once, a blurry picture of a paper cup left on a park bench. No caption, but it got 300 likes. V noticed something else. Zarn had started pausing before deleting drafts. One morning, Clip found a new drawing pinned to the ship's central console. It was from @Guyan the End, a sketch of a Velirac, unmistakably Clip, holding a heart-shaped balloon, looking confused but curious. Caption, "Not so alien after all." Clip stared at it for a long time, then smiled. Later that week, V ran a simulation. If human civilization had survived fully intact, based solely on current emotional patterns, their greatest strength wouldn't have been science, or war, or logic, she concluded. Zarn nodded slowly. It would have been tenderness. Post number 100 was a video. Clip holding a sign in front of the camera, words scrawled in human ink. They made mistakes. They broke things. They broke each other. But they also forgave. They also danced in parking lots. They also left notes on park benches that said, "You are enough." Caption, "This is what I want the universe to remember." Zarn reposted it to his own account. No filter. In the digital wilderness of a long-lost civilization, it began with a number. Zarn had posted an image, a sunset, no caption. It received 17 likes. Clip posted a 7-second video of himself falling off a chair while wearing inflatable alien arms. Caption, "Oops, gravity strikes again, fail from space." It received 43,000 likes. V posted a poem extracted from ancient human literature. Soft, raw, aching. 5 likes. And for the first time in their mission, no one said anything, but everyone noticed. The like war had begun. V was the first to call it by name. She sat cross-legged in the data chamber, staring at a hologram of engagement metrics, her voice low and tired. "They quantify worth," she said. "1 like equals 1 heartbeat, 1 view, a blink of attention, and somewhere along the way, this became a battlefield." Zarn frowned. "They seek validation, a side effect of their emotional instability." Clip snorted. "Or maybe they just want to know someone's out there." "No," Zarn said. "It's a sickness, an endless craving to be seen, and the more they're seen, the more invisible they feel." "But maybe," V hesitated, "maybe it's not the likes that hurt, maybe it's the silence." Later that day, Clip uploaded another video. He lip-synced to an old human pop song, wore oversized sunglasses, and danced with a robotic vacuum cleaner. It exploded. 100K likes, 23K shares. He was offered a collab from 3 legacy brand AI accounts. He smiled at first, but when he returned to the ship, V showed him something else. A photo. A human girl sitting on the floor of a dark room, knees hugged to her chest. Caption, "I'm tired of trying to be okay, but maybe someone out there gets it." 3 likes, 1 comment, a single heart emoji. Clip stared at the screen for a long time, then turned and walked away. The conflict came to a head when the Velirac High Council called. Zarn had sent periodic updates, but the council, growing impatient, demanded results. "Terminate the mission," they said. "The planet is unstable, the species contagious, your crew is compromised." Zarn stood stiffly. "We are not ready. You were sent to observe, not empathize. They're not what we thought. They are weak. They are trying." A long silence followed. Then the screen went black. That night, The tension in the ship was thick. Zarn paced. V rewatched the 3-like post again and again. Clip deleted his last 5 videos. "I don't know what's real anymore," he muttered. "Likes don't feel like love, just noise." V nodded. Attention isn't connection. That's the lesson they were never taught in time. Zarn stood still, his voice barely above a whisper. "I once believed worth was in being useful, efficient, logical, but I saw a dying man paint the wall of a broken building, and thousands of strangers felt less alone because of it." Clip looked up. "Then why does this still hurt?" Zarn replied, "Because you want to be seen, and seen truly." V had an idea. They ran an experiment. 2 identical photos of a cracked earth window, bathed in sunset. Photo A captioned, "Ruins of a Forgotten Age." Still kind of pretty though. Photo B captioned, "My reflection in this glass looks tired, and I'm scared." Photo A went viral. Photo B, 12 likes. V closed her eyes. This is what they lived with every day. A world that rewards surface but ignores soul. But something unexpected happened. Someone commented under photo B, "Me too." And then another, "You're not alone." A small ripple. A quiet answer. Not a flood, but a lifeline. Zarn made a choice that evening. He compiled a reel. No music, no filters. Just a montage of human things. A nurse tying someone's shoes. A man teaching his father how to dance after surgery. A child holding a sign, "You are not a burden." Caption, "This is the version of them I want remembered. Not perfect, not viral, but real." He posted it. It didn't go viral, but someone saved it, and that was enough. The next morning, the High Council sent one final message. "You have 72 hours to evacuate or be recalled by force." Zarn stared at the screen, then at his crew, and then, slowly, he opened Instagram. He wrote one sentence. "If this is infection, then let it spread." And he hit post. The order came at midnight Earth time. A single, cold directive from the Velarak High Council. "You are hereby instructed to disengage from all human interaction. Wipe local data. Prepare to initiate Phase Omega. Terminate the Earth." The message was followed by a familiar phrase. "Contact compromises objectivity." And just like that, a decision that could end an entire species rested in Zarn's hands. He didn't speak for a long time after reading it. Outside, the rain began to fall, soft, rhythmic, unbothered by war. Clip was the first to break the silence. "They want us to delete them." V's voice was even, but her eyes glistened. "They think we're corrupted." Zarn stared at the screen, then at his crew, then at Earth, still flawed, still glowing. Inside the ship's memory banks were thousands of saved files. A father combing his daughter's hair with trembling hands. A nurse singing to an unconscious patient. A man leaving free snacks on his doorstep with a sign, "If you're hungry, take one. If you're not, take 2 and give it to someone else." Zarn had seen what destruction looked like. He'd studied fallen worlds, broken civilizations, collapsed cultures. This wasn't that. This was surviving. Barely. But honestly, he called a final meeting. The room felt heavier than usual. "Are we truly compromised?" he asked. Clip leaned back. "Yes, gloriously." V folded her hands. "If objectivity means apathy, then yes, I am compromised." Zarn nodded, then turned to the console. He accessed the broadcast relay, the one linked to all open interstellar networks. Then he selected a compilation, the best of humanity. A toddler helping a blind dog find its bowl. A poem written in chalk on the street. "You are allowed to be both a masterpiece and a work in progress." A teenager writing letters to her future self. "In case no one else remembers I existed." He uploaded the reel. Caption, "This is humanity, not perfect, but trying. Let it be remembered." Then he did something unexpected. He tagged the High Council. Reactions came within minutes, not from the Council, but from across the stars. Aliens from other systems, watchers from other species. Comments flooded in. "We feel this. They are more like us than we thought." Followed, subscribed, saved. One account simply posted, "We would have missed them. Thank you." The post went viral across the galactic net. Hashtag let them be. The High Council did not reply. Instead, they sent one final signal, a countdown, 72 hours before orbital reversion. Auto-wipe protocols had begun. Zarn stood silently in front of the console. His reflection was faint in the screen. "This is the line," he said. "Once crossed, there's no going back." Clip stepped forward, nervous but steady. "Then let's cross it." "We'll be fugitives," V added. "Better than being executioners." Zarn didn't speak, but he walked over the Yamakel and manually disabled the wipe sequence. With one command, the Velarak broke from their mission. Not through war, but through defiance by empathy. That night, they left the ship, walked Earth's streets like ghosts, observed not just Instagram, but life itself. Children playing in a ruined playground, a street artist drawing a mural of stars on a cracked wall, an old woman feeding birds, whispering each one a name. Zarn stood on a rooftop and looked at the city, broken, overgrown, loud, laughing. He opened the app one last time that day, posted a picture of the mural, a galaxy inside a heart. Caption: "We chose not to look away." It became the most shared post in the galaxy. They had 72 hours, not to evacuate, not to erase, but to live. The council never responded. Perhaps they were ashamed. Perhaps they had started listening. The countdown ended, and nothing happened. No fleets, no warnings, just silence. And for the Velarak crew, silence now meant peace. They remained on Earth, no longer as observers, but quiet neighbors. They lived among the remnants, rebuilding what they could, cataloging beauty, and learning the rhythms of a world that refused to die properly. Clip changed the most. He stopped chasing followers, stopped measuring his joy in metrics, and that's when he met her. Her name was Ami, short for amethyst, she'd told him, with a crooked smile. "My mom loved purple, my dad hated it. I guess I'm the compromise." She lived on the edge of the city, in a greenhouse overtaken by ivy and thyme. She didn't speak often, didn't post, she barely used the net. But sometimes she painted, on walls, on leaves, on cracked concrete. She painted suns with faces and clouds shaped like cats. She painted galaxies with broken stars and children smiling anyway. And she painted alone. Clip met her chasing a lost drone. It had malfunctioned mid-flight and crashed into her backyard. She found it tangled in the tomato plants. When she looked up and saw him, not in disguise, she didn't scream. She just said, "Oh, you're real." Clip blinked. You're not afraid?" She dipped her brush back into paint. "I've been stared at all my life," she said, turning back to her painting. "By doctors, cameras, people who didn't know how to talk to me. You're the first one who isn't staring." Ami had a condition, a rare neural mutation caused by long-term chemical exposure before birth. It didn't make her less intelligent, quite the opposite, but it gave her tremors, seizures, and made her eyes glow faintly at night. People feared what they didn't understand, so they left her alone, and she learned how to be her own audience. Clip visited again the next day, and the next. He never asked why she didn't post, he just sat and watched her paint. Sometimes they talked. Sometimes they didn't. Sometimes he brought her broken things, cracked screens, shattered vases, and she turned them into mosaics. One day he asked, "Why do you always paint stars that are cracked?" She shrugged, "Because cracks let the light escape." V watched the change in him. No filters, no dancing, no posts, just long days in the sun and quiet nights sketching in his notebook. Zarn noticed too. He didn't comment, but one night he found Clip sitting on the rooftop, holding a small stone Ami had painted for him, a star with half a heart. "She's dying," Clip whispered. Zarn nodded. "I can't save her. I know. But she made me feel real, more than all the likes ever did." Zarn looked up at the stars. Then maybe the point was never to save her. Maybe the point was to be with her. On the final week of Ami's life, she painted a mural across her greenhouse wall. A Velarak. Not menacing, not strange, just sitting cross-legged under a tree, holding a human hand. Caption underneath, Even if they leave, we'll remember them. We are still here. She passed away the next morning. Clip didn't post for 7 days. Then, on the 8th, he uploaded one photo, a cracked stone, painted with a heart and stars. Caption, she never wanted to be famous, just not forgotten. The post went unnoticed for hours. Then someone found it, shared it. It spread, quietly, like a sigh in the dark. 1 week later, a small human girl in another city painted her own stone. Caption, for someone I never met, but who mattered. The tag returned. We are still here. Across the galaxy, the tag lit up again. Aliens, survivors, old watchers, new listeners, each adding a moment, a memory, a crack that let the light out. Zarn stood beside Clip in the greenhouse one evening, the mural still vibrant. Are we still on mission? Clip asked. Zarn took a deep breath. No, we're home. They came to Earth expecting war. What they found was people apologizing to furniture, loving too deeply, and posting their pain for strangers at 3 a.m. Hashtag humanity isn't about battles. It's about how we survive, with laughter, with fear, with stories that vanish in 24 hours, but leave marks that last forever. It's about one alien who fell in love with a girl who was already fading. And about the rest of us, who just want to know that someone, somewhere, sees us. We are still here. If you saw a part of yourself in this story, if you've ever felt invisible but kept showing up anyway, then don't go. Leave a comment, hit subscribe, because sometimes all it takes is one more story and someone who chooses to listen.